for another country today. Sorry, just had a snack between videos and all. And now we're in Lebanon, as it kind of intertwines with Syria, which we'll get to tomorrow. And yeah, here we go with Lebanon. And yeah, starting off with history. As usual, Lebanon is officially referred to as a Lebanese Republic, which is an independent nation in Western Asia. What is Syria to its north and east, and Israel to the south, and South Cyprus is located to the west across the Mediterranean Sea. Yeah. Syria will be coming tomorrow, Israel will be coming tomorrow, and yeah. Cyprus we've already done, if you want to go and find it. Yeah, the early evidence of the country's position at the crossroads of Arabian hinterland on the Mediterranean basin facilitates like a rich history. And forge cultural identity of ethnic and religious diversity, as the earliest evidence of human existence in Lebanon, whereas now Lebanon goes over back to 7,000 years, preceding recorded history. So Lebanon was home to the Canaanites and the Phoenicians, and their kingdoms made up a maritime culture and thrived for more than a thousand years. From 1550 BC to 539 BC. In 64 BC, the country came under the Roman Empire's rule, and ultimately became one of the empire's leading Christianity centres, as a Maronite church, and a monastic tradition was established in the Mount Lebanon range during the era, as Arab Muslims later on conquered the area. But the Maronites were able to hold on to their own religion, as a new religious group however was established at Mount Lebanon, and was known as a Druze, and lasted for centuries. And the Maronites were able to re-establish contacts with the Roman Catholic Church during the Crusades, and they also formed their communion with Rome. And relations they forged with the Latins have also influenced the country into the modern area. And yeah, let's go and look at some of them. As the early civilization in the country was founded by Blas, and is believed to be among the oldest continuously occupied cities in the world. The evidence goes back to about 5,000 years. About 5,000 BC. Archaeologists have found remains of more primitive weapons compared to some, and prehistoric huts with crushed limestone floors. The burial jars are left by the Chalcolithic and Neolithic fishing communities who dwelled in the Mediterranean seashores 10,000 years ago and all. Lebanon was a section of the northern Canaan, and a result became the motherland of the Canaanite descendants, the Phoenicians, and these were the seafaring people that dispersed widely across the Mediterranean before the send of Cyrus the Great. The most well-known of the colony was Cadiz in modern-day Spain, and Carthage in present-day Tunisia. As the Canaanite Phoenicians were also believed to be the inventors of the alphabet among other things, and the wider eastern Mediterranean and modern-day Lebanon were conquered by Cyrus in 539 BC, and some of the Persian population were forced to migrate to Carthage, which remained a powerful country until the Second Punic Wars, and the region was under Persian rule for 2 centuries, until Alexander the Great from Macedonia attacked and burned Tyre, which was the most well-known Phoenician city at the time. and seized what is presently Lebanon and nearby territories in the eastern Mediterranean in 332 BC. And after the death of Alexander the Great, the territory was integrated into Seleucid Empire, and in the 1st century Christianity was introduced to the country from neighbouring Galilee, as Lebanon alongside Syria and much of Anatolia. Antonia became a key centre for Christianity, and it was later integrated into the Byzantine Empire in the 4th century, and during the late 4th century and early 5th century a monastic tradition was established near the mountain range of Mount Lebanon, and it laid emphasis on the significance of asceticism and monotheism. And in from 619 to 629, during the frequent Roman Persian Empire wars, present the island was occupied by the Sassanid Persians. Moving on to the Middle Ages, Muslim Arabs seized Syria during the 7th century and established a new regime to supplant the Romans, as the Arabic language and Islam were dominant under the new rule. The population took time to convert from the Syrian language and Christianity and all. And in the 11th century, the Druze faith materialized from a certain branch of Islam, as the faith attracted a lot of followers in the southern region of Lebanon, as a crusade also took place during this century, and they were mainly initialized by the Latin Christians of mostly French origin, and their aim was to recover the former Roman lands in the eastern Mediterranean. And in the 13th century, when Muslim control was re-established in Lebanon under the Mamluk Sultans of Egypt, later on Lebanon was contested between Muslim rulers of the Ottoman Empire, solidified its authority in the eastern Mediterranean, and the Mans migrated to Lebanon from Yemen sometime in the 11th or 12th centuries, and there was a dynasty in the tribe of Qahtani Arabs who occupied the southwestern slopes of the Lebanon mountains, where assumed the Druze religion, and their rule started with the rise of Fakhr ad-Din, who was allowed by the Ottoman Empire to coordinate his own army. And during this era, Lebanon was partitioned into another number of provinces: Tripoli, northern and southern Lebanon, Jabal Amal, and Baalbek and Bekaa Valley. And in 1590, Fakhr ad-Din II forged his authority in as the paramount prince of the Druze of the Shuf region of Mount Lebanon, and he was eventually appointed Sanjak Bey, or governor, of a number of Ottoman sub-provinces, with the responsibility of gathering tax. And he expanded his rule into a huge portion of Mount Lebanon, and he even built a fort as far inland as Palmyra. But however, he was captured in 1633 for overreaching his directions from an Ottoman Sultan, Murad IV, and was executed in April 1635. And in 1697, the Shihabs succeeded the Mans after the Battle of Ain Dara and guarded Mount Lebanon until 1830. In 1860, about 10,000 Christians were murdered by the Druzes during intercommunal violence. Afterwards, the Emirate of Mount Lebanon, which had lasted about 400 years, was replaced by the Mount Lebanon Mutsarifate during a European Ottoman treaty known as the Reglement Orangique. After World War in 1920, after World War I, the Mutsarifate region and the surrounding territories that were predominantly Sunni and Shia became a section of Greater Lebanon under the French mandate of Syria and Lebanon, as France re-established Greater Lebanon on the 1st of September 1920, and after the Muqtashir regime removed some territories belonging to the Principality of Lebanon and gave them to Syria. As the Lebanese Republic was formed on the 1st of September 1926 by France, and in the 25th May 1926 a constitution was adopted, thus creating a democratic republic with a parliamentary system of government. And it was on 26th November 1943 when Lebanon became sovereign under the authority of a free French government. And the history of Lebanon since independence has been marked by an interchanging durations of political stability and mayhem combined with prosperity, on Beirut's location as a regional centre for trade and finance. And a civil war broke out in Lebanon in 1975 as a result of increased sectarian tension. The civil war pitted a union of Christian groups against the joint forces of the Palestinian Liberation Organization, or PLO, and Muslim militants and left-wing Druze. And in October 1976, the Arab League established a Syrian Arab Deterrent Force, which was tasked with restoring calmness to the country. In 1982, the Israeli invasion took place, resulted from PLO's attack on Israel from Lebanon, and a multinational force of Italian, French and American contingent was deployed in Beirut to oversee the evacuation of the PLO, and the force was, however, withdrawn in 1984 after its devastating bombing attack in the previous year, as Lebanon's parliament was not able to elect a leader due to differences between Syrians, Muslims and Christians. The result of the Arab League Summit in May 1989 led to establishment of the Saudi, Moroccan, Algerian Committee to resolve the conflict, and on the 16th of September 1989 the committee issued a peace plan that was accepted by all. A ceasefire was then developed. The airports and ports were reopened and refugees started coming back. And the same of the Taif agreement was agreed upon by the Lebanese parliament, and it contained an outline timetable for Syria's withdrawal from Lebanon and a procedure for deconfessionalization of the political system. And the war came to an end in the end of 1990, and it led to the loss of property and human life, and it devastated the country's economy. Close to 1 million people were displaced by the war, and some never came back, and some sections of the country were left in ruins, and the Taif agreement has not yet been fully implemented, as the country's political system is still divided among sectarian lines. After the war ended, several elections had been conducted in Lebanon. Most of the militia have been disbanded or at least weakened, as the Lebanese Armed Forces (LAF) have broadened central government authority to roughly 2/3 of the nation. In the early 2000s, the internal political system of the country changed significantly, as Israel also withdrew from Lebanon in 2000. And the Sadr Revolution took place in 2005 and was triggered by the assassination of Lebanese Prime Minister Rafik Hariri in a car bomb explosion, and the attack was believed to have been conducted by Syria. A number of demonstrations were held for demanding the removal of Syrian troops from Lebanon and for the formation of an internal commission and to look into the assassination. And it was on the 26th of April 2005 when Syrian soldiers returned to Syria. And yeah, moving from history to legends is, yeah, Lebanon also speaks Arabic, and yeah, as we're talking about Byblos in Lebanon, a beautiful boy was born and left without parents to care for him, as we're talking about that boy. And the lady Aphrodite fell in love with him and placed him in the care of a goddess of the underworld for safekeeping. Unfortunately, when she went back to claim the boy, the other woman had also fallen in love with him and would not give him up. As a compromise, it was agreed that the boy would live half a year with them and nurture in the love of the two women. And he grew into like a handsome and influential young man. And in the hills above Byblos, he became known as Adon, which meant Lord, and then as Adonis. But tragically, one of the male gods became jealous of Adonis. Azrael changed himself into a wild-born, facely gorgeous, handsome young man. As Adonis lay dying in the arms of Aphrodite, drops of his blood spilled and stained the anemone flowers, flower crimson red. And when he was gone, Aphrodite went to the goddess of the underworld again to see if the bargain could be restored, and her outpouring of grief and love was so strong that it was agreed that Adonis would live again. And he was strained to the hills of Byblos for 6 months during each year, during spring and summer, and then returned below for fall and winter. In observance of these things, the river which coursed down the hills into a place near Byblos was called the Adonis River. Sayyidina Ibrahim each year, when the runoff from the Lebanon mountains turned the river red, it was said that said to be the blood of Adonis. The crimson red announced the continued blood when each year. And the grotto at Afka, on the side of the mountain where the Adonis River flowed, became a place of pilgrimage, and in his honour Adonis gardens were grown by sprouting seeds in a dish, of which sprang up bright and green, but then perished. This was done every year in memory of his life and death. At the same time, a period mourning was declared, during which women would wail and expose their breasts in an expression of grief. 7 days after mourning, Adonis was reborn, and made effusive celebrations and festivities, and the Greeks later became so caught up in emotional observations that the legend of Adonis was brought completely to their mythology as well. And yeah, it's an interesting thing, and yeah, I'll see you shortly for the final country today of Georgia. As yeah, we're talking about country, not the US state. And yeah, I'll see you soon.